An 80-kilogram python was rescued from a school bus in Uttar Pradesh's Raibari.
Welcome back. In the valley has witnessed snowfall earlier than usual this year. Specifically, Gulmarg, Sonmarg, Shopian, Gurez Valley have a thick blanket of snow, turning them into a white paradise. News 18 brings you the ground report from locations from across the valley. Have a look.
मौसम ने अचानक करवट बदली और पूरे जो कश्मीर में है मौसमी हालात तब्दील हो गए और बर्फबारी के साथ साथ जो है बारिश का सिलसिला भी आज दिन भर जारी रहा। और हम इस वक्त पानाड़ साउथ कश्मीर में हैं और आप देख सकते हैं कि ये दूर दराज इलाका, यहाँ पर जो है बर्फबारी हो रही है और ये इस मौसम की पहली बर्फबारी है अगर प्लेन एरियाज़ की बात करेंगे। हालांकि जो बालाई इलाके हैं पहले ही जो माह गुजरे हैं तो वहाँ पर बर्फबारी हुई है, लेकिन जो प्लेन एरियाज़ हैं, जो मैदानी इलाके हैं, वहाँ पर ये मौसम की पहली बर्फबारी है। एक जानिब आप देख सकते हैं कि कितना दिलकश और खूबसूरत मंजर ये है और दूसरी जानिब आप देख सकते हैं कि लोग जो है इस बर्फबारी से खूब लुत्फ उठा रहे हैं। हालांकि दूर दराज इलाका है जिस तरह से हमने कहा और कांगड़ी का भी इस्तेमाल हो रहा है इसमें, और लेकिन साथ ही साथ इन लोगों का कहना है कि जो ये मौसमी हालात चेंज होते हैं तो पानाड़ जैसे इलाके में किस तरह से इनको दुश्वारियों का सामना करना पड़ता है। बताइए क्या अभी जो बर्फबारी हो रही है तो इस बारे में क्या तबादला ख्याल करेंगे?
बर्फबारी हमारे खासकर ज़िम्मेदार पेशे के लिए बहुत ही ज़रूरत है। एक तरफ से कश्मीर के लिए ये खुशी भी है कि पहली बारी हुई, इससे हमारे जो मौसम हालात हैं वो ठीक भी रहेंगे और बाकी जो हमारी ज़िम्मेदारी का बाकी टूरिस्ट का आना है कश्मीर में वो भी अच्छा रहता है। ख़ासकर मैं अपर एज की जो ट्राइबल्स एरिया है उनको काफ़ी मुश्किलात का सामना करना पड़ता है जब बर्फबारी होती है। बिजली की काफ़ी दिक्कत होती है, पानी की मुश्किलात होती है, रोड क्लियर टाइम पर नहीं होती है, पेशेंट जो है वो उनको भी काफ़ी मुश्किलात होती है क्योंकि कनेक्टिविटी जो है वो कट कर रह जाती है। तो अब यही जब बर्फबारी होती है तो ख़ासकर जो अपर एज एरिया है, ट्राइबल्स एरिया, उनको बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किलात होती है।
Good evening. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. You're watching Nation at 5 with me, Ridhima Bhatnagar. We're beginning this broadcast with some inside details of Pakistan's exit from the FATF's grey list. Now, as Pakistan has exited the FATF's grey list, CNN News 18 gets you the inside details of how it was Western aid which actually helped Pakistan pull off the move, but demands continue for constant monitoring of terror activities inside Pakistan. Now, top sources have told CNN News 18 this, that the decision was initiated by the United States, the United Kingdom and other nations. We're also now understanding that there was a positive recommendation after the physical inspection that took place in Pakistan. Now, what is India wanting and demanding at this point? India wants a reporting mechanism institutionalized. India has also demanded a continuous monitoring process. As far as the European Union is concerned, they've demanded regular action reports from Pakistan. So what does this then mean for Pakistan? Let me bring in our guests as well. We have former diplomat G. Parthasarthi now joining us on the broadcast. Sir, always a pleasure speaking to you. How do you see the details that we are putting out? First, let's talk about on Pakistan's optics of it finally exiting the FATF list.
Look, Pakistan desperately wanted to get out of the Financial Action Task Force because as long as they did that, it was in that list. It had a greater propensity of getting into trouble for helping for aiding terrorism. The one person who have helped them out are the Chinese. The Americans and the Europeans have gone along, and it started really with the issue of Hafiz Said's son, whom when it was obvious his links with the Lashkar-e-Taiba, which is an international terrorist organization. When it was discovered, it is the Chinese which came to Pakistan's rescue. Now, I think there is a tendency in India to believe that China is, apart from the border, everything is good with them. That is rubbish. The Chinese policy is low-cost containment of India. Let's understand that. Everything from Pakistan's missiles to its nuclear weapons program, now to its fighter aircraft, everything is Chinese. So there is really Pakistan totally dependent on them, and the Chinese merrily helping them along. If they can help them in making nuclear weapons, why not terrorism? So
I'll
the
talk about
Chinese
the bids
policy
that
is to
have been
contain.
blocked. Correct. I'll talk about the bids that have been blocked by China in just a bit. But just as far as this entire exit is concerned, as you rightly pointed out, they've been desperately wanting to get itself off that list. But what about the help that is actually aided Pakistan get off this list? The Western aid that is ensured that this happens. How do you see that?
You see, the West has a dual policy. Take President Biden. One day he says something highly abusive of Pakistan. The other day he gives them $450 million of money for arms and equipment. So by way of aid. So I think you have to bear in mind that there is a certain duality. One reason why they go along with us in terrorism is because some of these groups start operating with Pakistani populations in those countries. So there is an inclination on the West on this issue where there is sufficient evidence to go along with us. And the group itself is placed in a terrorist list, but it prevents that from being universally applicable. Right now, we've succeeded with the US, we've succeeded with the EU, we've succeeded with our neighbors. But China and others who are Pakistani friends, they will not agree. So you will not get a universal agreement on declaring individuals and organizations as terrorists.
Sure.
But you can do it singularly with important countries where you know these people visit. You may not be able to get it in many of the Islamic countries, but now in countries like UAE, I'm certain we can pursue it. So the earlier thing of the West being as tough with Pakistan is somewhat not good after the
it's
Biden
wishy-washy. But I'll just
of $450 million.
True.
Yeah.
Sir, I'll just request you to stay on with us. We also have former director of the National Security Council Secretariat, Dr. Tara, also now joining us on the broadcast. Tara, good to have you on the broadcast with us. I agree with the points that are being made by G. Parthasarathi, but my larger issue is, yes, okay, they're off the list. This is what they've wanted. But what about the ground root issues, which is as far as terror financing is concerned? How do you ensure that you have a mechanism put in place to monitor that these activities don't take place any time in the future?
Well, I don't suppose there are any now. Once they're off, I mean, the main thing is that they will now get access to international finance. One. Number two is that they get exposed, the international financial system is now open to them. You see, so that in itself is a danger. But that is the whole point of blacklisting or grey listing, is to prevent damage to the international financial institutions, because there's a lot of shady dealings going on. If you look at the report from FATF, you'll find that they are listing all white collar crimes, so to speak, and in terms of other kinds of money laundering activities. But they have not listed what are the terror activities, terror financing, which is still going on.
Correct.
So it seems to me that there is a kind of a screen shading what these people are actually up to, because we know the Hawala channels, all that is continuing. So it's your own system is then exposed to this. That is the danger. The whole banking system is exposed to the kind of drug money, for instance, which will be laundered for the use of terrorist activities. Drug money, the money from Afghanistan, the huge millions of dollars, a lot of it is banked in Pakistan. How can you ignore that? I mean, I just don't understand how this is even thought of by the international financial system.
The same question that I was asking G. Parthasarathi, that what is the benefit that the West is getting with Pakistan getting off this grey list? Why have they gone forward and aided this exit?
That's a question I've been asking myself for the last 58 years, I think. The West have, after all, let's face it, Pakistan was a creation of the British Empire. It was a member of military groupings along with the United States for years. And therefore, there is a certain empathy for Pakistan in these countries. And the only things they will act is where it affects them. And therefore, yes, I agree with the NSA official that yes, it is not a perfect system. Yes, there are things which are going to cause us problems.
Sure.
But the reality of the world today is, as I said, when Biden goes public on one hand and then dishes out $450 million on the other, that is a change. Now, we can diplomatically move hard and talk against it. That certainly has to continue. The pressure has to continue. But we have to also face the reality that right now Pakistani weapons are flowing into Ukraine
Correct.
in Royal Air Force British aircraft. So the Pakistanis know precisely how to make themselves useful.
Yeah.
As far as China is concerned, I said Pakistan is its main instrument for low-cost containment of India. We'll have to live with it. But as I said, the best we can go with is to see that they move on individuals and groupings to keep bilaterally clear with the US and Europe.
But even those individuals and
Western
groupings
Europe
actually
and so
seems
on.
to be facing a lot of
But,
roadblocks. And the reason that I'm saying this is I'll just request both our guests to stay on with us. We also want to shift our focus to the other big story that we're tracking this evening, which is about China putting a hold on a proposal by India and the United States at the United Nations to blacklist Pakistan-based terrorist Hafiz Tala Saeed, the son of Lashkar chief Hafiz Saeed. This is the second such move to block anti-terror campaigns just in the last 2 days. Now, Hafiz Tala Saeed is the central leader of the dreaded terrorist group Lashkar and the son of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks mastermind Hafiz Saeed. In April this year, he was declared a terrorist by the Indian government. Remember, this is the 5th time in the last 4 months that China has blocked efforts to blacklist Pakistan-based terrorists. So how is China really shielding terror? And what are the instances that we've seen just in the recent times? Let's break down all those details. As I pointed out, this is something that we've seen for the 5th time just in the last 4 months. So let's begin with the most recent one, October 2022. Hafiz Tala Saeed, Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist, son of 26/11 attack mastermind Hafiz Saeed. Let's talk to you about the other details as well and the instances that we're picking out. Shahid Mahmood, again blacklisted, blocked by China once again a Lashkar terrorist, part of 26/11 attack mastermind terror group. Let's bring you the other names as well. Abdul Rauf Asghar, blacklisting, again blocked by China, the deputy chief of Jaish-e-Mohammed involved in the 2019 Pulwama attack. But that's not all. Look at the next name that we're picking up. In September 2022, you had the blocking of Sajid Mir also being resisted by China. Again, a Lashkar terrorist involved in 26/11 Mumbai attack. Then in June 2022, you have Abdul Rahman Maki, again a Lashkar terrorist, mastermind of the 26/11 Mumbai attack. Our guests continue to be with us. G. Parthasharthi, how do you see these instances that we've just put out? We've seen, I think, 2 in the last 2 days and about the 5th one in the last 4 months. Are we surprised?
I am not surprised. Having dealt with these guys in Pakistan and in India, I am not surprised at all. Look, you should understand, groups like the Lashkar more so and the Jaish less have a wide, the Ahle Hadith religious faction across Pakistan empathizes with the Lashkar. Less so, as I said, with the Jaish more Wahhabi. But both these have been responsible for terrorist attacks. Both of these have faced international sanctions before. And most importantly, I think countries which matter, that is where we have to practice, follow, because that would be, I think Saudi Arabia and many of the Arab countries will agree with us. So it's now more a question of detailed diplomacy and dealing with it country by country. I know it's not perfect. Sure. I know we could have got a much better deal. But I go back to a very fundamental thing, and that everyone ignores. Pakistan has no power to make nuclear weapons or even to have screwdrivers made. But they get it from China. They get everything they want from China. And there is a disinclination on our part to call a spade when it comes to the Chinese assistance to Pakistan in all these areas. I think that is something we have to focus more on about that relationship. Otherwise, it is treated like anything else.
Dr. Tara, I want to
On
understand.
terrorism, in an ultimate analysis, I'll tell you, we have ways of putting huge similar pressure on Pakistan. And the fact of the matter is, hard policy decisions will have to be taken. I think some of them are in place to put equal pressure on Pakistan.
That's exactly what I wanted to discuss, and I'll come to that in just a bit in terms of how India should respond. But Dr. Tara, what I'm essentially trying to understand is why are we seeing both these nations piggybacking on each other? Is it just the impact of if you don't piggyback on each other, what will have on the CPEC? Is it just that?
Not really. You know, one former defector from China said, she recently, she said, China is the person every country hates. So the Pakistan is the only friend China has. So you use them for every single thing. They use each other for whatever they can on the world stage. Because Pakistan has, of course, Pakistan sort of has quote unquote friends everywhere, but China doesn't. But having said that, this is going to be a little expensive for Pakistan because remember, you're using up diplomatic capital with Beijing to say that, you know, please block this, you know. So this is like you said, now this is the 5th time.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, this is the son of a terrorism everybody knows. You know, so it's going to get very expensive for Pakistan. And there's one thing which we should think of, you know, in 2020, I think the US sort of withdrew the designation of a Chinese terrorist group, with China wanted them, you know, designated the East Turkestan Islamic Movement. The US actually withdrew that designation. Now, I don't see why we shouldn't do that if necessary. You know, I don't know, to find a list of who we've designated and who we've not on any Indian website is the most difficult thing. But I'm assuming that we are, as a blanket thing, you know, following the UN blocking system.
Yeah.
Whatever the UN blocks, we follow because that's part of international law. But you can consider this. Why not stop delisting the ETI?
G. Parthasharthi, now going back to the point that you were making earlier, if these proposals continue to be blocked by China, if these bids continue to be blocked by China, what is the kind of action that India should be responding with? What is those hard actions or policy decisions that need to be put in place?
Whom was that question addressed to?
Are you asking?
Yes, G. Parthasharthi, sorry.
Hello?
Yes, sir, that question's for you. Okay, I think we seem to be having an audio issue with G. Parthasharthi, but Dr. Tara, if you'd like to take that question.
What can we do in the sense? I mean, see, we have to realize one thing. The US prioritization of terrorism as a top foreign policy agenda is no longer there. It was there earlier. It is now it's all about China. It's all about Russia. It's all about Ukraine. So that kind of prioritizing, regardless of the excellent efforts by our ambassador, our permanent representative to the UN, Ruchira Gambhir, she has really brought this out of the sheer double-facedness involved in this designation. I'm beginning to wonder what the UN is about. I mean, what are these people doing? So this kind of sanctioning is a very powerful instrument. Let's not forget that. Even if you say the UN, talks a lot, once you have a sanction process and a designation process, it is a pretty powerful tool. So if China continues to do this, it is, like I said earlier, it is showing itself up on the international stage as a country that says okay to terrorism. And if it's okay with that, well, Beijing must be extremely foolish to do this. I can't understand. At the same time, we have, I think, it is one of our largest trading partners. So it doesn't give you a lot of wiggle room. But if terrorism rises again in Pakistan, not if, it is already rising.
Sure.
It is Chinese nationals there who's going to face the brunt. Let's face that, as well as Chinese neighboring states in Xinjiang.
Okay. Unfortunately, I'll have to leave the conversation there. G. Parthasarathi and Dr. Tara, always a pleasure speaking to both of you. We have to shift our focus to some other breaking developments now coming in. Now, amid the turmoil in the Conservative government in Britain, British Prime Minister Liz Truss is currently meeting Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of the 1922 committee, which is responsible for establishing whether a Conservative leader has the confidence of the party or not. My colleague Sanjay Suri now joining us live on the broadcast. Sanjay, what really is happening? You already have the resignation of one minister just about 24 hours ago, and now this meeting. How should we read this?
Well, the buzz really is, and it's serious buzz, that Liz Truss may resign later in the day. This meeting with the chairman of the 1922 committee, which is the committee that runs the parliamentary affairs of the Conservative Party, is very significant, and it is a second such. She had met this chairman, Sir Graham Brady, only on Friday. In fact, she did not even attend Parliament. She was due to answer questions. She sent Penny Mordaunt as substitute. She was missing, and at that time, no explanation was given. She was missing mysteriously. It turned out that she was with Sir Graham Brady. He is the one who conducted the elections in the Conservative Party after Boris Johnson left. So if there is a change, it is he who will be instrumental in effecting such a change. So now, in the face of all these demands, and more of our own MPs are demanding that she go, now for her to go and meet Sir Graham Brady again in the space of just a few days is quite a telling sign, and I think we should be looking out for a resignation followed by a substitution.
Okay. Sanjay, and look at how soon all of this has happened. She's been in power in just about a month. We all know what is happening in the United Kingdom, a very severe economic crisis. Inflation continues to be record high. Rationalization of taxes continues to be a demand as far as the citizens is concerned. And now the losing support of the Tories. Is there a substitute name that is already doing the rounds?
Rishi Sunak, of course, is a name doing the rounds. Boris Johnson himself is being mentioned. Jeremy Hunt is being mentioned, the new Chancellor of the Exchequer, and Theresa Coffey, who is the Deputy Prime Minister, is also now at 10 Downing Street. So this is going to be worked out, certainly at one level and by Downing Street, who they want to appoint as a substitute, but that will not necessarily be the final word. It will be what Conservative MPs want. Whether there is an agreement by consensus or we go back into yet another vote, though I doubt we will see that kind of prolonged campaigning yet again. Nobody has the time or the stamina for it. But a lot of people are jostling now for that position, and we will have a result to that perhaps later today.
Okay, Sanjay, we leave the conversation there. Keep a close eye on all those developments for us. We're slipping into a very short break. We're coming back with lots more.
The loud cheers broke out among the onlookers who were watching the operation with horror and excitement. Later, the python was safely released in the forest of Dalmau.
A 12-year-old boy was made to dangle from the roof of a well in Madhya Pradesh's Chhatarpur district. He was accused of stealing a mobile phone. The boy clung to the sides of the well, claiming innocence and begging for his life as a man threatened to drop him down. The accused was arrested after the police filed a case for culpable homicide under the SCSD Act. A 22-year-old man was tied to a two-wheeler and made to run for about 2 kilometers on a busy road in Cuttack in Odisha. This was his punishment for allegedly failing to repay 1,500 rupees which he had borrowed from one of the two accused for performing his grandfather's last rites. After the video went viral, both the accused were arrested. A brawl on a moving train ended in horror in West Bengal's Birbhum district.
Two passengers came to blows on the Howrah-Malda Town Intercity Express. The fight started after one of the men allegedly abused and threatened other passengers on the train. After a few minutes, the two men disengage, but the verbal argument continues. Soon after, the round 2 of the confrontation begins. But this time, the man shoves the passenger off the moving train. He shows absolutely no remorse and returns to his seat. The passenger who was thrown off the train was later rescued from the tracks by the railway police. He is being treated for his injuries at a hospital. The man who threw him off the train has been arrested. Police is probing if others are involved.
A massive row has erupted at an exam center in Telangana's Adilabad. The BJP claims that some Hindu women were asked to remove their jewellery, including their Mangal Sutra, before entering the hall. But Muslim women were allowed to enter with burqas on. The Adilabad SP claims that rules were followed and that there was no discrimination. The Tamil Nadu government is mulling legal options after the Justice Armuguswamy Commission recommended a probe into Shashikala's role in the death of former Chief Minister Jayalalitha. Shashikala, on her part, has refuted all the allegations, saying that she never interfered in Jayalalitha's medical treatment. Heavy rains continue to lash Pune, leaving the city completely inundated.
In many parts of the city, vehicles were left submerged. This two-wheeler was washed away due to strong floodwaters. People were forced to walk in chest-deep water to get to their destination. The floodwaters also entered the railway station, causing panic on the ground. Even hospitals were left inundated after incessant rains. Pune is witnessing its heaviest rain since 2011. And the Met Department has predicted that there will be no let-up in the weather till the 22nd of October.
After 4 years, Pakistan has been taken off the Financial Action Task Force's grey list. It was initially put on the list for deficiencies in counter-terror financing and anti-money-laundering regimes. This was back in 2018. The decision was taken after a quote-unquote verification visit by members of the FATF. Russian President Vladimir Putin has declared martial law in 4 regions of Ukraine that were recently annexed: Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia and Kherson. With the announcement of martial law, Putin has said that more emergency powers will be given to the heads of all of these regions. British Prime Minister Liz Truss has insisted that she will not quit as Prime Minister as she faced tough questions from booing MPs during her first question time session since abandoning her tax-slashing economic policies and since sacking her finance minister. As chants of gone, a defiant Liz Truss said that she's a fighter and not a quitter. Several Conservative Party MPs have already publicly called for Liz Truss to be replaced. And we leave you with King Charles's hilarious response to a child who asked him his age.
Depends on which time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes
next week. Yes. You get 2 weeks. Have a guess. Have a guess. You get a decent summer holiday, I think.
It's very nice, thank you.
very nice.
You very much needed it.
An 80-kilogram python was rescued from a school bus in Uttar Pradesh's Raebareli district.
The 11-feet-long python was found inside the engine of the empty school bus. Forest Department officials were called in to rescue the python. They tied a rope around the snake and tried to pull it out, but the giant reptile clung onto the bus's engine. Finally, after an hour, an official managed to pry the snake free from its hold. The loud cheers broke out among the onlookers who were watching the operation with horror and excitement. Later, the python was safely released in the forest of Dalmau.
A 12-year-old boy was made to dangle from the roof of a well in Madhya Pradesh's Chhattarpur district. He was accused of stealing a mobile phone. The boy clung to the sides of the well, claiming innocence and begging for his life as a man threatened to drop him down. The accused was arrested after the police filed a case for culpable homicide under the SCSD Act. A 22-year-old man was tied to a two-wheeler.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. This really is not any new problem. It's an annual problem that we discuss every single year. As the festival of Diwali approaches, Delhi's air quality has started to deteriorate once again. Days after Delhi saw its cleanest air, the air quality index has now begun to hit the hazardous levels. The annual occurrence continues to cause smog and various health problems for citizens. Stubble burning in Punjab and Haryana is seen as the main culprit. Now, the Punjab government is facing a pollution test as farmers are protesting and demanding compensation for stubble burning. Now, on Wednesday, AAP leader and Environment Minister Gopal Roy said the Delhi government has banned the production, the storage and sale of crackers and this will ensure, and if you're caught doing any of this, that there is a 6-month jail term for offenders. This, of course, hasn't gone down well with the BJP, which has called this move anti-Hindu.
दिल्ली के अंदर जो लोग आदेश का उल्लंघन करते हुए उत्पादन, भंडारण और बिक्री में संलग्न पाए जाएंगे, उनके खिलाफ सेक्शन 9B एक्सप्लोसिव एक्ट के तहत कार्रवाई होगी, जिसके तहत 5,000 रुपए तक का जुर्माना और 3 साल तक की सजा होती है। एक्सप्लोसिव एक्ट 9B है, ये उत्पादन, भंडारण, बिक्री पर लागू किया जाएगा। इसलिए दिल्ली के अंदर इस बार भी पटाखों के उत्पादन, भंडारण, बिक्री और जलाने पर प्रतिबंध लगाया गया है।
पाल राय जो एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्टर हैं, उन्होंने घोषणा करी कि कोई भी पटाखा फोड़ते हुए पाया गया तो उनके ऊपर 6 महीने की जेल या फाइन होगा। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं दिल्ली सरकार से, मैं पूछना चाहता हूं अरविंद केजरीवाल साहब से, क्या हिंदुओं के त्योहार दिवाली पर ही सब कुछ ऐसा होगा? और आज जब आपके मंत्री, खुद के मंत्री पटाखे जला रहे हैं, तो उससे क्या ऑक्सीजन निकल रहा है? उससे प्रदूषण तो हो नहीं रहा होगा, क्योंकि वो तो आपके पटाखे हैं, आम आदमी पार्टी के द्वारा फोड़े गए पटाखे हैं, इसलिए उनसे प्रदूषण नहीं निकलेगा। सवाल इस चीज का है, पराली से जो पंजाब से जो धुआं निकल रहा है, उसकी वजह से आज दिल्ली के अंदर जो प्रदूषण हो रहा है, और आपकी नाकामियों का नतीजा दिल्ली के हिंदू क्यों भुगते?
बीजेपी सवाल खड़े कर रही है, वो ये कह रही है कि दिवाली पर पटाखों पर बैन लगा दिया, जुर्माना लगा रहे हैं, लेकिन जब आपके जो मंत्री राजकुमार आनंद, उनके मंत्री बनने की घोषणा हुई तो आतिशबाजी वहाँ पर हुई। उन्होंने वीडियो बाकायदा शेयर किया है इसका। वो आपको कह रहे हैं कि आप हिंदू विरोधी हैं।
गलत होना चाहिए, गलत है, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था। जहाँ तक जो दिवाली के ऊपर जो पटाखे की बात है, मुझे लगता है बहुत सालों से एनजीटी का ऑर्डर है, समय समय पे कोर्ट के भी ऑर्डर रहे हैं कि दिवाली के अंदर, दिल्ली के अंदर स्पेशली दिवाली के दौरान जब पटाखे फूटते हैं तो बहुत ज़्यादा दिक्कत आती है पोल्यूशन के कारण, और उसका एक अल्टरनेट है। और धीरे धीरे दिल्ली वाले उसमें साथ भी दे रहे हैं। बीजेपी वालों को छोड़ दीजिए, बीजेपी वाले सिर्फ राजनीति करते हैं, लेकिन दिल्ली वाले भी इसमें पूरा सहयोग देते हैं।
आप मानते हैं कि नहीं होना चाहिए था, पटाखे नहीं छोड़ने?
नहीं, इस तरह की कोई भी चीज़, पटाखे या इस तरह की सेलिब्रेशन नहीं होना चाहिए। और मेरा अपना मानना है कि जो दिल्ली के अंदर जो पोल्यूशन है, पोल्यूशन के कारण किसी भी तरह से कोई हमें ऐसा काम नहीं करना चाहिए जिससे इस पोल्यूशन को बढ़ावा मिले।
We are few kilometers away from the national capital to show you the reason as to why the residents of the national capital are forced to breathe the polluted air year by year. So we are currently reporting from the Upli village of the Karnal district, which falls in the state of Haryana, and we are currently in the farm field which has been set to fire by the owner of the field. So clearly what we can see on the TV screen is that the stubble burning continues to take place in the state of Haryana as well. The leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party have been saying that the cases of farm fires have been reported in the state of Punjab only, but these are the visuals that we are showing you, that how the straw, the leftover of the field, continues to be on fire in the state of Haryana as well. So this is the situation that we are currently reporting from the state of Haryana, despite the tall claims which are being made by the government year by year, and despite the story which is shown on every national television, with a hope that the next time situation would turn out to be better. But here we are showing you that the root cause continues to be there in part of the Haryana as well.
हमारे को ये मेंटेनेंस मशीनरी नहीं मिल रही जी, एडवांस भी दे रहे हैं हम, फिर भी नहीं मिल रही हमारे को। आज 8 रोज हो गए हैं हमने ये कटा हुआ है, तो कोई आ ही नहीं रहा यहाँ तक। मजबूरी है जी, हमने घास बोना है, आगे बजाई करनी है गेहूँ की। जब कोई नहीं आएगा तो फिर क्या करेगा मजबूर होकर किसान। देखो हमारे गाँव में आज तक कोई मशीन नहीं आई है। उधर मेरा भाई है एक, हमने 8 रोज पहले एडवांस भी देना शुरू किया, फिर भी कोई नहीं आ रहा है यहाँ पे। अभी भी कटे पड़े हैं। वैसे हमने किसी खेत में इसके अलावा किसी में कोई आग नहीं लगाई, कहीं भी नहीं मिलेगा। मजबूर हो गए किसान जलाता, वैसे नहीं जलाता किसान पराली को, वैसे नहीं जलाएगा। जो हमारे को पूरा समाधान मिले, मशीनरी मिले, हम क्यों जाएंगे जलाने के, नहीं जलाएंगे।
Let's now talk to you in terms of some numbers. Let's talk to you about how the national capital's air quality index has fallen just in the last few days. So let's begin from the 15th of October when the AQI was at 186, which means the level at which it was still seen as moderate. But just look at the next day, 16th of October, it went up to 232, it went in the poor category. Then on the 17th of October, it further increased to 237, again in the poor category. On the 18th of October, further went up to 241, again in the poor category. And on the 19th of October, it's already reached to 228, which means it's once again in the poor category. Now, what really is the reason? Why is stubble burning continuing to choke the national capital? Let's talk to you about some of the key reasons. Toxic fumes from crop residue engulf the national capital. But you just heard from one of the farmers, and most of the farmers continue to reiterate this every year, that we just don't have any other option. This is a desperate move because of the lack of work done by the state governments. The other reason is fumes result in thick smog and haze, which result in a lot of respiratory issues as well. Then, smoke particles remain suspended in air, again, as I said, leading to a lot of respiratory issues, especially for the children, the younger kids and the senior citizens as well. This also leads to a spike in air pollution levels. We're already beginning to see that. What really is the long-term solution? That really is the question. My colleague Nikhil is now joining us on the broadcast, and he has been tracking all these developments from Ambala. Nikhil, it's an annual problem. We discuss it every single year. But what really is the solution? What is the ground reality that you're picking up in Ambala?
So, Ridhima, we started from the national capital Delhi this morning, and we have been to Karnal, Ambala and other parts of the Haryana district, Haryana state. But now we have entered to the state of Punjab. We are moving towards the direction of the Sangrur, which is the city, in fact the constituency of MP. And now he is the Chief Minister of Punjab state, Mr. Bhagwant Mann. Now Sangrur is one of the places which has turned out to be a hot spot among other 8 cities as well of Punjab, where the crop burning is currently on the rise. And if we talk about the state of the Haryana, 4 of the cities have been there where the hotspots have been detected officially by the government figure. Yesterday as well, if we talk about the further details, Ridhima, a meeting was chaired, crucial meeting in fact, it was chaired by Union Environment Minister Bhupen Yadav, where he clearly directed the officials of Punjab, saying that it is one such state which is not performing well to contain the cases of the farm fire. But not just it is about the state of Punjab. We have been in the state of Haryana as well, where the farm fire continues to be on a rising side. We have spoken to some of the farmers. They have been saying that no solution has been provided. This is one such thing which they carry out every year. Yeah. But the tall claims which are being made by the government and the administration as well, no solution has been provided to the farmers on the ground zero.
And political parties just continue to pass the buck and blame one another. Absolutely right. You're making a very important point. Nikhil, thanks for getting us that ground report. We'll continue to track those developments. For now, slipping into a very short break.
Never guess. You get a decent summer holiday right there.
It's very nice, thank you. Very nice, thank you.
Very much needed.
An 80-kilogram python was rescued from a school bus in Uttar Pradesh's Raebareli district.
The 11 feet long python was found inside the engine of the empty school bus. Forest Department officials were called in to rescue the python. They tied a rope around the snake and tried to pull it out, but the giant reptile clung onto the bus's engine. Finally, after an hour, an official managed to pry the snake free from its hold. The loud cheers broke out among the onlookers who were watching the operation with horror and excitement. Later, the python was safely released in the forest of Dalmau.
A 12-year-old boy was made to dangle from the roof of a well in Madhya Pradesh's Chhatarpur district. He was accused of stealing a mobile phone. The boy clung to the sides of the well, claiming innocence and begging for his life as a man threatened to drop him down. The accused was arrested after the police filed a case for culpable homicide under the SCST Act. A 22-year-old man was tied to a two-wheeler and made to run for about 2 kilometers on a busy road in Cuttack in Odisha. This was his punishment for allegedly failing to repay 1,500 rupees which he had borrowed from one of the two accused for performing his grandfather's last rites. After the video went viral, both the accused were arrested. A brawl on a moving train ended in horror in West Bengal's Birbhum district.
Two passengers came to blows on the Howrah-Malda Town Intercity Express. The fight started after one of the men allegedly abused and threatened other passengers on the train. After a few minutes, the two men disengage, but the verbal argument continues. Soon after, the round 2 of the confrontation begins. But this time, the man shoves the passenger off the moving train. He shows absolutely no remorse and returns to his seat. The passenger who was thrown off the train was later rescued from the tracks by the railway police. He is being treated for his injuries at a hospital. The man who threw him off the train has been arrested. Police is probing if others are involved.
A massive row has erupted at an exam center in Telangana's Adilabad. The BJP claims that some Hindu women were asked to remove their jewellery, including their Mangal Sutra, before entering the hall. But Muslim women were allowed to enter with burqas on. The Adilabad SP claims that rules were followed and that there was no discrimination. The Tamil Nadu government is mulling legal options after the Justice Armugaswamy Commission recommended a probe into Shashikala's role in the death of former Chief Minister Jayalalitha. Shashikala, on her part, has refuted all the allegations, saying that she never interfered in Jayalalitha's medical treatment. Heavy rains continue to lash Pune, leaving the city completely inundated.
In many parts of the city, vehicles were left submerged. This two-wheeler was washed away due to strong floodwaters. People were forced to walk in chest-deep water to get to their destination. The floodwaters also entered the railway station, causing panic on the ground. Even hospitals were left inundated after incessant rains. Pune is witnessing its heaviest rain since 2011. And the Met Department has predicted that there will be no let-up in the weather till the 22nd of October.
After 4 years, Pakistan has been taken off the Financial Action Task Force's grey list. It was initially put on the list for deficiencies in counter-terror financing and anti-money-laundering regimes. This was back in 2018. The decision was taken after a quote-unquote verification visit by members of the FATF. Russian President Vladimir Putin has declared martial law in 4 regions of Ukraine that were recently annexed: Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia and Kherson. With the announcement of martial law, Putin has said that more emergency powers will be given to the heads of...
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Some breaking developments now coming in. Some news coming in from the valley. In the wake of targeted killings, the Jammu and Kashmir administration has now ordered the reconstitution of a committee to examine transfer-related issues of the reserved category of employees posted in the valley. Now remember, these employees have been protesting for over 4 months, demanding transfer out of Kashmir. My colleague Tejinder is now joining us on the broadcast. Tejinder, because that unfortunate pattern continues of targeting pundits as well as non-locals, what really is happening on the ground now?
Yes, you see, Ridhma, there has been a spate of killing of in Kashmir Valley, especially those of minority community members and from the migrant laborer community. They are being targeted, and now the government, the administration in Jammu and Kashmir, they have reconstituted a committee that would look into the demands of the transfer being made by the reserve category employees who have been working in Kashmir Valley. But for the past over 4 months, these employees, they have been holding protest in Jammu. They are demanding that they should be immediately transferred to Jammu because they are facing threat to their life in Kashmir Valley. If you remember, Rajni Bala, a school teacher, she was shot down by terrorists in South Kashmir when she was on her way to the school. She was a school teacher, but the terrorists, they targeted her and killed her. And ever since that target killing of Rajni Bala took place, the employees, the reserve category employees who are believed to be more than 2,000 in number, they have been protesting in Jammu. These are those employees who got the employment on the condition that they would be working in Kashmir. They got the employment under the reserve category employment scheme that was launched by the union government and also by the state government, the erstwhile state government of Jammu and Kashmir. They have been working in various departments across Kashmir Valley, but after the increase in the killing of the members of the minority community by the terrorists in Kashmir Valley, these employees, they have been protesting. Okay. Now the administration in Jammu and Kashmir has reconstituted the committee with the principal secretary to the government higher education department as the chairman of the committee, and the other members of the committee would include commissioner secretary to the government social welfare department, divisional commissioner Kashmir, divisional commissioner Jammu, secretary to the government general administration department, secretary department of law, justice and parliamentary affairs, okay, and representatives of the ARI and training department. Yes, Ridhma.
Okay, Tejinder, thanks a lot for getting us that quick update. Shifting focus then, as India continues to make the push for Atmanirbharta in the defence sector, CNN News 18's Akash Sharma spoke exclusively to Air Chief Marshal Vivek Ram Chaudhary on the modernization drive in the Indian Air Force. Let's listen in.
Indian Air Force is on the path of transformation and is future ready. And to talk about these plans, I'm joined by Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary, sir. Sir, we have recently inducted the indigenous platforms and now we are looking for future. While talking about the modernization of Indian Air Force, what is the update on that?
Our plans are very clearly been spelled out when it comes to acquisition of new fighter platforms. You're aware of the contract for the 83 LCA Mark 1A. We are also procuring 6 squadrons of LCA Mark II, and in future will be the AMCA. When it comes to other force enablers, the AEWC Mark II, based on the Airbus platform, is what we look forward to inducting in the next 5 to 6 years. A whole lot of air-to-ground and air-to-air weapons, locally manufactured, is what will fill our inventory in the coming years.
Also, we are stressing on Atmanirbharta, but do you think that Atmanirbharta is going to fill the void or the deficit that has been created by the conditions between Russia and Ukraine?
So far, the conditions between Russia and Ukraine have not really dented our capability. We have been indigenizing a whole lot of spares, and I think in the last 10 odd years, we have indigenized more than 62,000 spares. So thereby gradually reducing the dependency on foreign countries for this.
Given the conditions at line of control and the actual line of control, sir, what you have to say on our readiness?
We are always ready. We are always prepared. We keep monitoring the situation across the border, and we keep strategizing our counter strategy for that.
My last question, I wanted to ask about the artificial intelligence and the robot-driven technology in the Indian Air Force. Are we ready for that as well?
Of course, we have set up our own institute, which we call it the UDAN, the Unit for Development of Artificial Intelligence and Networks, and we have developed a whole lot of apps and utilization of the AIs for our maintenance, logistics management, campaign planning, mission planning, debrief systems, and so on. And it's all done in-house completely by the Indian Air Force.
Shifting focus then, the Assam government has been consistently tracking down madrasas involved in terror activities over the last few months, and now another terror module has been busted in Tamulpur. CNN News 18 has now accessed exclusive details about the modus operandi of these terrorists. My colleague Preeti brings us this exclusive ground report, after which we take a very short break.
Another jihadi module has been busted in Assam. Police have arrested 4 terror suspects from Tamulpur and Nalbari since March. Assam police have busted about 6 such jihadi modules. CNN News 18 has accessed exclusive details about the modus operandi of these suspected terrorists. The man on the right of your screen is Sadiq Ali. Sadiq, who was a teacher at a madrasa in Tamulpur, is actually the mastermind of this jihadi module. He was arrested along with 3 of his aides.
At Tamulpur, and this is the madrasa from where Sadiq Ali was arrested yesterday by Tamulpur police, and we have to say that it has been informed by the superintendent of police of Tamulpur that certain incriminating documents have been found from the possession of Sadiq Ali, and also he has informed that there are other people under scanner for which what kind of evidences have been found cannot completely be spoken out, but yes, there are certain evidences which have related Sadiq Ali to certain banned outfits like ABT and AQIS, we can say Al-Qaeda.
According to the details accessed by CNN News 18, Sadiq is an active member of Ansarul Bangla team, which is an affiliate of the Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent. And through the madrasa, Sadiq recruited youth for his terrorist organization.
We tried to talk with the superintendent of Nalbari because this involves the both of them. This is a joint operation, and 4 people have been arrested from Nalbari and Tamulpur. And while we tried to talk with the SP of Nalbari, he has also stated that this person, Sadiq Ali, was actually the mastermind, and he tried to bring in more youth, and he has accepted, he has also agreed to the fact that he was into some meetings with these 3, the other 3, and also we're talking about bringing in more youth to for spreading jihad, and also he was talking about weapons training.
इंक्वायरी करने में पता चला कि सादिक अली मास्टरमाइंड है, वो पहले भी उग्रवादी एक्टिविटीज में इन्वॉल्व रहा है। पहले वो जेएनबी में था, उसके बाद में अभी हाल फिलहाल में वो अल-कायदा के साथ एसोसिएटेड है।
When we spoke to the locals, they were completely stumped. Locals said they had no idea that Sadiq was carrying out such jihadi activities through the madrasa. Locals have demanded action against Sadiq, but have urged the government to spare the madrasa from being demolished.
We tried to talk with some locals from here, and they have also stated that what he was up to, they had no idea about. But again, I have to tell you that locals have again and again requested the authorities, the government, in order to take action against the culprit, but not against the madrasas. Because in the recent past, we have seen how certain jihadi links were found with certain madrasas because they were teaching there in those madrasas, and those were demolished by the authorities. So now the students here, the teachers, the other teachers here in the madrasa authorities here are now worried about the madrasa, that the madrasa should not get harmed, because there are 20 students studying here, and they are now worried about any kind of action being taken on the madrasa as well. This is Preeti Priyadarshini reporting from Guwahati, Assam.
Adilabad, the BJP claims that some Hindu women were asked to remove their jewellery, including their Mangal Sutra, before entering the hall. But Muslim women were allowed to enter with burqas on. The Adilabad SP claims that rules were followed and that there was no discrimination. The Tamil Nadu government is mulling legal options after the Justice Arumugaswamy Commission recommended a probe into Shashikala's role in the death of former Chief Minister Jayalalitha. Shashikala, on her part, has refuted all the allegations, saying that she never interfered in Jayalalitha's medical treatment. Heavy rains continue to lash Pune, leaving the city completely inundated.
In many parts of the city, vehicles were left submerged. This two-wheeler was washed away due to strong floodwaters. People were forced to walk in chest-deep water to get to their destination. The floodwaters also entered the railway station, causing panic on the ground. Even hospitals were left inundated after incessant rains. Pune is witnessing its heaviest rain since 2011, and the Met Department has predicted that there will be no let-up in the weather till the 22nd of October.
After 4 years, Pakistan has been taken off the Financial Action Task Force's grey list. It was initially put on the list for deficiencies in counter-terror financing and anti-money-laundering regimes. This was back in 2018. The decision was taken after a quote-unquote verification visit by members of the FATF. Russian President Vladimir Putin has declared martial law in 4 regions of Ukraine that were recently annexed: Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia and Kherson. With the announcement of martial law, Putin has said that more emergency powers will be given to the heads of all of these regions. British Prime Minister Liz Truss has insisted that she will not quit as Prime Minister as she faced tough questions from booing MPs during her first question time session since abandoning her tax-slashing economic policies and since sacking her finance minister. As chants of gone, a defiant Liz Truss said that she's a fighter and not a quitter. Several Conservative Party MPs have already publicly called for Liz Truss to be replaced. And we leave you with King Charles's hilarious response to a child who asked him his age.
Depends on which time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes
Next week. You get 2 weeks. Have a guess. Have a guess. You get a decent summer holiday, I think.
Very nice, thank you. Very nice, thank you very much.
You very much needed it as well.
An 80-kilogram python was rescued from a school bus in Uttar Pradesh's Raebareli district.
The 11-feet-long python was found inside the engine of the empty school bus. Forest Department officials were called in to rescue the python. They tied a rope around the snake and tried to pull it out, but the giant reptile clung onto the bus's engine. Finally, after an hour, an official managed to pry the snake free from its hold. The loud cheers broke out among the onlookers who were watching the operation with horror and excitement. Later, the python was safely released in the forest of Dalmau.
A 12-year-old boy was made to dangle from the roof of a well in Madhya Pradesh's Chhatarpur district. He was accused of stealing a mobile phone. The boy clung to the sides of the well, claiming innocence and begging for his life as a man threatened to drop him down. The accused was arrested after the police filed a case for culpable homicide under the SCSD Act. A 22-year-old man was tied to a two-wheeler and made to run for about 2 kilometers on a busy road in Cuttack in Odisha. This was his punishment for allegedly failing to repay 1,500 rupees which he had borrowed from one of the 2 accused for performing his grandfather's last rites. After the video went viral, both the accused were arrested. A brawl on a moving train ended in horror in West Bengal's Birbhum district.
Two passengers came to blows on the Howrah-Malda Town Intercity Express. The fight started after one of the men allegedly abused and threatened other passengers on the train. After a few minutes, the 2 men disengage, but the verbal argument continues. Soon after, the round 2 of the confrontation begins. But this time, the man shoves the passenger off the moving train. He shows absolutely no remorse and returns.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. The valley has witnessed snowfall earlier than usual this year. Specifically, Gulmarg, Sonmarg, Shopian and the Gurez Valley have a thick blanket of snow. It's winter wonderland for tourists. but locals, namely farmers, are facing some problems. News 18 brings you ground reports from across the valley. I'm leaving you with these visuals. Thanks a lot for watching.
कोई वेस्ट बंगाल से है, कोई पंजाब से, कोई यूपी से, अलग अलग एरिया से जो है यहाँ पे लोग आए हैं जो यहाँ पे बर्फ़ का मज़ा ले रहे हैं। छोटे बच्चे, जवान, बुज़ुर्ग, महिलाएं यहाँ पे इस बर्फ़बारी, क्योंकि ये पहली बर्फ़बारी है, हैवी बर्फ़बारी गुलमर्ग के मीडोज़ में। हालांकि इससे पहले 2 बार बर्फ़ हुई, लेकिन वो अपर रीचेस में हुई। लेकिन ये जो पहली बर्फ़बारी यहाँ पे आज मैदानी इलाके में यानी मीडोज़ में हुई, तो इसका खूब मज़ा ले रहे हैं। टूरिस्ट आ रहे हैं और यहाँ पे एंजॉय कर रहे हैं। तो ये सिलसिला जो है अब विंटर में जारी रहेगा। जैसा मैंने कहा, बच्चे हों, बुज़ुर्ग हों, सब, जैसा मैंने कहा कि कोई वेस्ट बंगाल से आया है, कोई महाराष्ट्र से आया है, कोई एमपी से आया है, कोई जम्मू कश्मीर से आया है, तो अलग अलग एरिया से लोग आए हैं। हालांकि धुंध है, क्लैरिटी बहुत कम है, लेकिन हो सकता है कि अब विजिबिलिटी और इम्प्रूव हो और यहाँ के फिर नज़ारे जो हैं ज़्यादा दिखेंगे। जो माउंटेन्स हैं वहाँ पे किस तरीके की अट्रैक्शन है।
महकमे मौसमियात की ठीक पेशनगोई के मुताबिक आज रात से ही शुपियान के पहाड़ी एरियाज़ में जमकर बर्फ़बारी हुई। अगर हम मैदानी इलाकों की बात करेंगे तो मैदानी इलाकों में भी बर्फ़बारी अभी भी जारी है और आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पे जो है हार्वेस्टिंग का जो सीज़न है वो पीक पे है। तो हम दिखाना चाहेंगे अभी भी जो है पेड़ों पे जो है काफ़ी सेब मौजूद है, जिसकी वजह से यहाँ के किसान परेशान है। क्योंकि हमने कई लोगों से बात करने की कोशिश की, अभी भी बर्फ़ जारी है कि बेशतर जो लोग हैं वो अपने घरों में ही है, क्योंकि अभी भी बहुत ज़्यादा यहाँ पे सर्दी है। मैं आपको फिर एक बार दिखाना चाहता हूँ, काफ़ी जो है पेड़ों पे अभी सेब मौजूद है और आपको दिखाना चाहेंगे कि अगर ज़्यादा बर्फ़ पड़ी तो यकीनन इनका जो पेड़ों का जो है वज़न ऑलरेडी ज़्यादा है, क्योंकि सेब जो है पेड़ों पे मौजूद है। अगर और बर्फ़ पड़ने से ये वज़न ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएगा तो यकीनन ये सारे जो हैं पेड़ टूट जाएंगे। तो कई लोग ऐसे ये चाहते हैं कि सरकार को चाहिए कि जो गरीब एरियाज़ है, अगर हम शुपियान ज़िला की पहाड़ी एरियाज़ की बात करेंगे तो उनको कम से कम यहाँ पे तखमीना लगाया जाए और जो है टीम जो एग्रीकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट या हार्टिकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट जो है उनकी टीमें इन इलाकों में भेजी जाए। वो यहाँ के नुकसान का जायज़ा लेने के बाद जो है किसानों को मुआवजा फराहम करे।
Good evening. This is Viewpoint. I'm Zakir Jacob. It's that time of the year again. Pollution is rearing its ugly head once again in Delhi and the national capital region. And it's not just firecrackers that are going up ahead of Diwali. Most importantly, it's the stubble burning by farmers in Punjab and Haryana. For years now, the Aam Aadmi Party has been promising that once they come to power in Punjab, they will put an end to stubble burning. Now they are in power in Punjab, but the stubble burning continues. So the question that needs to be asked is there no political will across parties to put an end to this problem? Are Delhiites and folks living in the national capital region consigned to this fate every year at this time of the year? But first, the story so far.
That choking feeling has returned to the capital. Every year, like clockwork, the air quality in Delhi gets worse. Ahead of Diwali, the AAP government has drawn the line on buying or bursting firecrackers in Delhi.
दिल्ली के अंदर जो लोग आदेश का उल्लंघन करते हुए उत्पादन, भंडारण और बिक्री में संलग्न पाए जाएंगे, उनके खिलाफ सेक्शन 9B एक्सप्लोसिव एक्ट के तहत कार्रवाई होगी, जिसके तहत 5,000 रुपए तक का जुर्माना और 3 साल तक की सजा होती है.
While Delhiites are facing hefty fines and even jail time over crackers, the rules don't appear to be applying to AAP workers. BJP released a video of a group of men bursting crackers. The party claims they are supporters of AAP MLA Rajkumar Anand, who was celebrating his appointment as the new social welfare minister by bursting crackers at his residence. Following the cracker ban, BJP has accused AAP of being anti-Hindu and demonizing Diwali.
गोपाल राय जो एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्टर हैं, उन्होंने घोषणा करी कि कोई भी पटाखा फोड़ते हुए पाया गया तो उनके ऊपर 6 महीने की जेल या फाइन होगा. मैं पूछना चाहता हूं दिल्ली सरकार से, क्या हिंदुओं के त्योहार दिवाली पर ही सब कुछ ऐसा होगा?
AAP is also on the back foot over unabated stubble burning in Punjab, which is a major contributor to Delhi's toxic air. For the last 9 years, AAP has been blaming governments in Punjab for failing to stop farmers from burning stubble. But now AAP is in power in Punjab, yet the problem is persisting. But instead of cracking down on rising incidents of stubble burning, the Punjab government is facing the wrath of farmers. Thousands of them have been camping near Chief Minister Bhagwant Man's home in Sangrur for the last 10 days. They are refusing to budge till the government agrees to a whole host of their demands, including cancelling cases registered against them for burning stubble. While Delhi struggles to breathe, Netas continue to pass the buck. So is political inertia worsening Delhi's air?
All right, on the talking point this evening, Charu Pragya is BJP spokesperson. We're also joined by Jyoti Pandey Lavkare, who's an author and co-founder of Care for Air. We'll also be joined by Dr. Piyush Joshi, political analyst, and Jayadhar Gupta, founding member of My Right to Breathe. Charu Pragya, let me start with you first. Since 2017, firecrackers, by an order of the Supreme Court no less, has been banned in Delhi. But that has not deterred either buyers or sellers. Today, you look at the newspapers, the Delhi Pollution Control Board has taken out full-page ads talking about how it's illegal to burst crackers. Fact is, every year during this season, the Aam Aadmi Party says firecrackers are to blame, and the BJP says, well, why are you blaming firecrackers? Why are you targeting Hindu festivals? Because at the end of the day, everyone is breathing bad air and everyone is suffering from this bad air.
Saga, good evening. And yes, it is unfortunate that the people of Delhi are again suffering with the terrible air quality. The older people are suffering, children are suffering, health ailments are going up. And we have a government in Delhi which remembers air pollution only during Diwali. What has happened during the rest of the year? Absolutely nothing. What have they done to control vehicular pollution during the entire year? Nothing. Controlling industrial pollution? Nothing. Dust? Nothing. Burning of biomass? Nothing. Maybe exhaust from diesel generators? Nothing. So the fact is that they start talking about air pollution only at the time of Diwali, where studies have shown us multiple times in the past that out of all the pollution in Delhi, the crackers contribute to less than 6%. So why is it that Aam Aadmi Party government is not targeting 94% of the reasons for the bad air quality in Delhi and only going after the 6% of the crackers which burn for one evening? One evening. How fair is that? And what kind of a stand are they taking? Are they secular or they pseudo-secular? Because they are stopping the Hindus from celebrating one of our most primary major festival while doing nothing about stubble burning in Punjab.
I'll come to the stubble burning part. I want to ask Dr. Piyush Joshi this. Charu says only 6% is contributed because of firecrackers. But there is a recent IIT study that has found that Diwali crackers on the day before Diwali, on the day off and the day after, it raises pollution levels as much as 1,100%, particularly PM 2.5. PM 2.5, of course, accounts for metal in the air. My question is, between the BJP saying you're attacking Hindu festivals and the AAP government, Dr. Piyush Joshi, saying that stubble burning was the reason all along, but now you're not doing anything about stubble burning despite the fact that you're being in power in Punjab. So ultimately, net, between these two big contributors, the people of Delhi NCR are stuck and breathing bad air.
If someone is saying that we are not doing anything about stubble burning, I think they are living in a fool's paradise. There has been a reduction in the number of stubble burning incidences